So what is HTML? HTML stands for the Hypertext Markup Language. It's a standard language for creating every websites and the pages everywhere on internet. So let's go and dive in here how the basic structure of HTML looks like. HTML consists of tags everywhere. So we use these brackets to showcase that each of the tag, it's called tag. In doc type tag, we specify and say this is HTML document. Next one, the core, which like beneficial for every HTML, it starts with the HTML tag. So you're opening brackets and closing, and you write HTML, and you always have a pair of the tags. On the beginning you have HTML, and if you scroll all the way down to the document, you will see a closing tag. So this is like opening tag, and this is a closing tag. A closing tag also always come with a / sign. So let's go to the next one. So usually the most important part of every HTML document is HTML tag, the head, and the body. Basically more than enough for every HTML page to render. On the right you actually can see the result. Head consists of the metadata and also for the title. And title goes my first page. And if you go to the page, you can see the my first page is over here. So whatever we title, let's say my not first page, and save it, and there you go. So this is the title, and then the head ends up over here. The body is what represents what will be the body of the page over here. As you can see, inside the body we use H1. H1 stands for the header, so it could be H2. We have a welcome to HTML. This is basically whatever it is inside, so like text right now, and we have welcome to HTML here. If we change that text, we save it, and it saves right away. If we change the type of the header from header 2 to header, from header 1 to header 2, you can see as the header became way more smaller. Another example would be that basically you don't have to have any structure to write the text. As you can see, the next text I just wrote as it is, today is a great day, and we have that line over here. Ideally you want to put it like in some specific value, like a paragraph, and you want to put it outside, and you want to keep it as paragraph. Now you can see automatically the styling applied and it moved it down away. That's how you can structure the text. If I remove that paragraph again, the space is removed. So that's how like default styling is applied in HTML. Right now we have only HTML, only the text and nothing more. The BR tag stands for, basically it just adds another line over here. Let me comment it out. By the way, if I comment out in HTML, I would just like put another tag behind it. This is like commenting tag. And if I save it, you can see on the right, it's just like removed it right away. If we remove it, place it back, we got that space. So BR is just like for the extra space. Next we have welcome to DevUnwind text. It's over here. It's very similar to this one. It's just like not in paragraph or anywhere. We can use tag div, which is very popular, and it stands for a block. It's basically any block, could be text or whatever. Yeah, you can't see much difference right now, but basically this is how it looks. The blocks are good when you want to build something more complex in HTML. And then you have a closing tag of the body and closing tag of HTML. And this is in a nutshell is the whole HTML, and this is more than enough just to make a very basic static page. And of course you can insert here like images. Let me give you an example of the tag of the image, how it looks. Image tag starts as image, then you add attribute source, which is like a source of the image, equal, and then a path to the image. Right now we don't have the image, but that's basically how it will look like. It will just render underneath. You have alt text. Alt text is the image, like in our example, didn't load up. We could at least give it a text-based information. Let's say a photo of a nice looking cat, and that will give an explanation what this image stands for. Especially it's good for the accessibility readers. And there's a lot of the tags inside the HTML which could be useful. I'll probably give you one more example with a link. The source is attribute of image tag. It's just like terminology, but basically attribute stands for the parameter for this tag. And there'll be another one example. By the way, you can see like our image and link right now stands very close. If we wrap that link, which I just recently added inside div, it goes just automatically into the next line because it's different set of the block. And as I mentioned, div, it's a block. And inside we have a tag, which is anchor, which is basically links. And we want to use href attribute, which is basically a value parameter where we want to send that user. And this is the text which will be behind this link, or you could say up front. And if we click that, there you go, we went to the website. So as you can see, we went through basic stuff of the HTML, the structure, which stands for the tags, HTML tags, which is HTML head and body. This is like the most important HTML tags. And frankly speaking, if you do something like this, let me remove everything and say let me place still and HTML page and save it, it still works. The problem is with that, like the server which will be absorbing this file will not understand the structure, semantic value of structure, and you cannot use the parameters as we did for the title. Right now the title is nothing and there's not much information. Is it like HTML page? But by default it tries to consider it, since it's HTML file, we have this index HTML in the name, therefore it understands it as an HTML. But let's return our HTML page back over here. We went through the tags, HTML head and the body set. This is the most important ones. We have things like specific tags for specific items on the page. Usually for the headers we use H tags, which is like H1 from H1 until I think H6, P for the paragraph, div for the blocks, image for the image. We have things like attributes, which is basically a parameter for your image. Right now for the image we have source attribute, alt attribute, and like href attribute for the anchor tag. So this is a very basic understanding of the HTML. If you want to explore more, you probably want to experiment more and look out for the sources like MDN, which I recommend, stands for the Mozilla Developer Network. Let's go for the MDN over here. Yep, that's MDN. If you want to explore more, just go there and look for more. If you feel this video was useful for you, consider leaving a like and subscribe to the channel. But want to learn CSS in just a few minutes? Stay with me on the DevUnwind. So let's have a look. What CSS does to our simple web page. So let me uncomment that, save, and there you go. You have the new background, new style and everything. We remove CSS. This is how bare HTML looks like. So CSS stands for the cascading style sheets, and it's responsible how your website looks and feels. It's responsible from things like fonts, colors, background colors, layouts of the page, responsiveness of the page, and many more. So let's dive to example. Right now we have a simple HTML page, and I will just link our CSS file to that page. There's a few ways how you can do that. You can do it in line within the HTML page, but we will do it like a more or less proper way with external CSS file. So let me uncomment that line, save it. So we have this link rel style sheet href style CSS. This file stays in the same directory where HTML file is. It's over here. So let's open that file, and we have here background powder blue. Let's change it to the dark cyan and save it. Now we have a new one. Let's change to, I see, we have h4 white save. Now we have a white header, and let's change it from the black, I don't know, dark green, save it, light green, or just green. Light would work better. That's much better. We have an external file, and the style of this file is basically what we are selecting. So this is selectors. We're selecting body, so everything under the body, we come back to the HTML file, everything under our body, which is starting from over here and goes until the closing body tag. We want to add the parameters inside the curly braces. Background color, semicolon, and the value. Value could be like actual name of the colors, or could be in RGB this value, or could be even something like this, like FF. I think it's a hex color. Stands, yeah, just like a specific value. Let's go back to our previous value, dark cyan. Now we selecting the next value. So cascading style sheets means it's going up from top and down to the bottom. So whatever you style at the bottom will be overwriting the previous value. If you do the value of the color of the paragraph light green here, and you add another value over here, it will just overwrite it. Let's make it red. You see it's overwritten our value. So let's just like remove that. So what do we do here? We playing with the colors for H4 for the header. It's over here, and in HTML it's over here. We setting the value of the white, and for the P, which is all paragraphs, and all H4, which is this one. Sorry, this one. This is our paragraph. We set value of light green. The importance of CSS is pretty big one. It's actually responsible for everything you see on the website. Let's see how we can play with the CSS from the BBC website. Let's select this element, go to the styles, just this element, and we can see it uses this font family, Helvetica or few font family, and font weight is 400. What we can do is modify this value. There you go, font size modified, line head, and font family, and we can make it color red. Now you can see we modified this page, and we can go even further. We can change this value and make it color blue. As you can see right now, we modified link to the color blue for that particular element, and we added style on the top of the existing style. So we rewrote a cascading style sheet. That's one example of the value in importance of CSS. If I disable the CSS on the whole page, will be very simple looking like this one without any styles at all. And I've mentioned about the accessibility. So CSS is important for the accessibility. So a good website will, let's toggle this one. This is shows us how we can see. This is mobile look, by the way. I think it's mobile look. Yeah, it's pretty much mobile look. And you can see like how the same website turns out from a desktop version to almost like mobile look. And now it's changed the style, and instead of the cursor I have like kind of like a finger touch, and I still can interact with the website like I'm on a mobile device. Once I toggle it again, we will toggle the screen size, and now we're in a sort of like a small desktop version. So all this done through the CSS. That's how CSS is powerful and can do a lot of stuff just to manage the way your page looks on the website. So this was a very brief overview how to learn CSS, basically foundations. Of course, if you want to grow more, just go on somewhere like MDN, as I like to mention all the time. Go to MDN, search for the CSS, try to learn it from there or any other resource, and keep practicing. The more practice you do, the better for your knowledge. If you feel this video was useful, consider leaving a like and subscribe to the channel. You want to learn the JavaScript, most important language that powers all the websites on the internet, in just few minutes? Stick with me. So first thing first, JavaScript is all about variables. Think of them as the containers of data. Let's go with this example. Let's start with an let name John. So this is John is a string and name is a variable. The way we can do variables is three different ways. We can use let, setting a name and equal to the value of John, and if we put in small brackets, that's a string. If we do a const, that's another way. For the constant value, that will be equal, const h will be assigned value of 25, and 25 will be a number. That's type of a value. And use the var, which is old school one, stands for the variable, which was existing before that. Let's make it isStudent equal to true. True is a Boolean value. We'll always have either true or false. Right now, isStudent is a Boolean value. And to test it out, we will use a console of the browser over here, down here, and we will write console.log, and we want to see what is the name of value. We save, and now we got name John. If we want to console log one more value, let's go with the h, save, and we got like John, age 25. Functions. These are like recipes. They take inputs, do something, and give you an output. Let's go with this example. Function, we'll name that function greet. We'll put a name, which will accepting a name, which will be a parameter, and in curly braces, we're opening what the body of the function, and we're returning a value, which is string hello, comma, space, plus, so we're concatenating values, this name which we will be giving to the over here. And now, after we declare the function, we want to run the function. So our function called name, you see that over here, and I'm using console log just so we can display it visually. We will write ace and save it and say hello ace. That's what our function does. It says hello plus name. We wrote the parameter for the function ace, which is string, but we can use a value which we made before, which is an actual name. So we can put like this, and save it, and we'll say hello John. And if we change that name from John to Becca, save it, and it will be hello Becca. So that's pretty much basics of the function. So first you have to declare the function. So you have to basically write that function from very beginning, and then you want to use it later. Every time you use the function, you opening and closing brackets. So that's how you instantiate like actual running function in line. Conditionals. Now let's talk about decision making with if statements. Let's take this example. Let me comment out this line. So we have a new value, which is age 20, and the next line would be let age 20 and if. Now we have a conditional. So we're starting with the if, we're opening the brackets, and we use this value of the age, which we set that before, more or equal to 18. So if it's more or equal to the 18, then we will console log this message, you can vote. Otherwise, you are too young to vote. And I think we just saw it on the right. You can vote. Now let's change that value below 20, let's say it's 10, and you are too young to vote. So that's a quick example of the if statement and conditionals. Loops. Finally, loops. Want to repeat something over and over? That's where for loops come in. Let's go with this example. The loops are very important in JavaScript. They use almost everywhere. Maybe not in the way of this loop, but they're basically everywhere. So let's go with the for loop. So this loop, as you can see, what are we doing right now? We're starting with the for, we're opening the condition for that loop. We're starting with the let I, so that will be iterator, will be 0, so it will start from 0. Then we put semicolon, and then we say I is less than 5. So that's condition when it stops that loops. So it starts from 0 and when it should end up. And the next condition will be what we'll have to do. Basically, we'll be increasing value of I by 1. So plus sign stands for just adding 1 to the previous value. If it started with 0, we just add 1, it will be 1, add 1 will be 2, add 1 will be 3, and so on until we reach to that condition. So basically, this is the whole rule condition how loop should go. Now we're closing the brackets, opening the curly braces, and inside the curly braces, what we want to do with this conditional loop. Do we want to, right now, as we saying, console log every value of every loop? And over here, let's remove that code for now. Over here, we have this loop. It started with 0, if you remember over here. Then we got to the 1 and to the 2 because we are always adding, and it's looping all over the time through that condition. 3, 4, and now we reach to this condition where it should stop. And since 4 is less than 5, it's okay. But then on the next loop, I becomes 5 and I is not the less than 5. And then the loop stops over here. So that's basically a looping element. So we can loop across anything. It could be any values. Loops helps us automate a lot of stuff, like anything in the programming. And that's how you just quickly dived into the JavaScript, foundations of the JavaScript in just few minutes. Of course, this is not enough. JavaScript takes much more learning than HTML, CSS. This was a very basic intro for beginners, just to showcase this is not a scary thing. It's easy to learn if you start small and if you progress it every day. And through the time, you can improve more and more. Let me know if you liked this video by leaving a like, and consider subscribing to the channel DevUnwind. See you later. Bye.